Well, good morning and welcome to the July meeting of the Technical Advisory Committee for the Bismarck-Mandan MPO. It is July 14th, it's 10 a.m., and we will call the meeting to order. We'll begin with a roll call. Can you please perform that for us, Tracy?
Ben Arith,
Here.
Dan Shriak,
Here.
Deidre Hughes,
Here.
Chris Holzer,
Here.
Loretta Marshak,
Here.
Jarek Wigness,
Here.
John Saki,
Here.
Logan Bisey,
Here.
Mitch Flanagan, okay. Natalie Pierce, Will Hutchings,
Here.
and Chair Ripple.
Here. Thank you, Tracy. At this time, are there any participants online who would like to speak up and have their names recorded for the record?
Good morning, Kristen Sperry with Federal Highway Administration.
Good morning, Kristen. Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay. Moving on, we do have a new member of the TAC representing the city of Lincoln. Loretta Marshak is joining us this morning, and so I'd like to take an opportunity to introduce her because she is a new face. And maybe, Loretta, you could just say a word or two of introduction.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. My name's Loretta Marshak. I represent the city of Lincoln. I am currently working with SEH, and previously I was working in the engineering department, multiple roles for the city of Dickinson. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much. It's good to have you here. Look forward to your participation in the future as well. So we will just go ahead and move on with our meeting agenda. This is an amended agenda that was sent out last Friday. Hopefully you all received that. One item was added to that, so it changed the order just a bit. But we will begin with the minutes from the June 16th meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
This is This is Ben. I would move approval as presented.
Okay, we have a motion for approval by Ben Arith. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Chris Holzer, second. Roll call vote, please.
Ben Arith,
Yes.
Dan Shriak,
Yes.
Deidre Hughes,
Yes.
Chris Holzer,
Yes.
Loretta Marshak,
Yes.
Jarek Wigness,
Yes.
John Saki,
Yes.
Logan Bisey,
Yes.
Mitch is gone. Will Hutchings,
Yes.
and Chair Ripple.
Yes, minutes are approved as presented. Moving on to item number 2 on the agenda, it is the 2026-2027 Draft Unified Planning Work Program. I'll be presenting that item, and Stephen will be sharing the screen for us this morning. Thank you, Stephen. I'll give him one moment to get that up. For folks at home or following along on your own iPad or computer, that Exhibit A begins on page 13 of the packet. Okay, thank you, Stephen. So this is the draft for the 2026-2027 Unified Planning Work Program. This is not going to be the last time this board sees this particular document. We're going to be reviewing the draft today. We'll be asking for approval of the draft to be presented to our oversight at North Dakota DOT, local government, also Federal Transit Administration and Federal Highway. They'll have a 30-day review period of the draft document, at which time we can also take additional comments from board members or anyone else who might be interested in providing comments. After that 30-day period, we'll be bringing it back to the TAC and Policy Board for that final review and potential recommendation of approval. The next page, a lot of this is pretty standard stuff. We have a title page that presents our jurisdictional and funding partners. The next page is the resolution of adoption. This will be the formalized adoption of the document once it goes through all approvals, and we'll be inserting that then as the final document. The next page is a table of contents. Nothing really outstanding here, except there has been an addition at the very bottom. At the recommendation of North Dakota DOT, we added a statement that certifies that all of the information contained in the UPWP, to the best of our knowledge, is accurate and true. And it also acknowledges that we acknowledge the penalties for providing false information or anything that is misrepresented. Moving on to the next page, we have the introduction for the Unified Planning Work Program. Again, this is the work program of anticipated activities and projects that the MPO intends to undertake in the next 2 years, and it also does provide the budget for those activities. The new part on this page is regarding board membership. Not only do we have the positions listed, but as a general best practice recommended by our federal oversight partners, we have also listed the names of the folks who are filling those positions for Technical Advisory Committee and Policy Board members. On the following pages, we do have the board meeting dates for both the TAC and Policy Board in 2026. Also, those dates are provided for 2027 in keeping with the biennial nature of this document. And then we move into previous accomplishments. These are accomplishments that MPO has achieved through the last 12 months or through the last time period since the adoption of the last UPWP. And that moves into what we anticipate to accomplish through December of this year, which is on the next page. And from there, we move right into our planned work activities for years 2026 and 2027. We'll be talking about these particular activities in quite a bit more detail as we move through the document. The next page provides an overview of the UPWP, and again, this is our 2-year budget and work program. It's divided into 4 task areas. Administration is 101, professional services, vendors, and consultants is task 102, capital, operational, and travel expenses is task 103, and then we have a task 104 for complete streets tracking, and that is a tracking task category only. The purpose of this format is to better align the UPWP budget to the accounts utilized by the MPO and the City of Bismarck's fiscal services. Because the City of Bismarck is the hosting agency for the MPO and provides 20% of the local match on all administrative and operational activities, it kind of makes sense to format the document in this manner. The UPWP addresses MPO activities in very broad terms. We have staff expenses, which includes all staff time, wages, and benefits. We look at outsourced expenses, and then finally office-related expenses, such as supplies, rent, staff development, and et cetera. Now, the next section addresses the source of UPW funds, and we've always had this section, but we have not had these tables in here before. So the tables are a new addition. They provide our MPO revenue sources and how they split out between North Dakota planning funds, North Dakota complete streets, FTA distributions, and then any redistributed amounts that may have come from prior year carryovers. It shows then not only those totals, but also the 2026 local match that is being provided by each of the jurisdictions. and those percentages. We have the same table for 2027, although the caveat for that particular table is that these amounts are based on estimates of a 2% increase in federal funding over what was estimated as a 2026 base CPG of $697,800, and these numbers are definitely subject to change. Next, we move into the federal planning factors. These are the 10 factors that are set forth through the 23 CFR 45306, and the MPO is committed to upholding these 10 factors in the planning process. On the next page, we actually see how our projected studies for 26 and 27 meet those planning factor objectives. So you can see that in the chart below the MTP and federal performance goals. As part of our MTP, we do identify the 10 planning factors, and we also identify additional goals and objectives. Those are listed as safety and security, infrastructure conditions, congestion reduction, system reliability for freight movement and economic vitality, alternative transportation modes to automobile travel, and environmental sustainability, along with reduced project delay. So the table below that shows how each of our anticipated studies are going to meet those goals and objectives of our MTP. And below that, we also have a timeline for the development of the next MTP. We just got done with one, and it's going to be time to be forward-facing and look to the future. So we will embark on activities that will allow us to complete an update of our MTP in a timely manner. So the activities listed in this section are detailed from 2026 through the adoption of the next MTP at the end of 2029. On the next page, we have a new section that addresses eligible expenses. This is in response to 23 CFR 42113, which is included in part. It talks about how expenses of the MPO are determined eligible under federal guidelines. Work products and projects budgeted and provided in the UPWP are intended to convey reasonable expectations as to the anticipated accomplishments of the Bismarck-Mandan MPO and the associated costs and expenses of those activities for the years 2026 and 2027. Activities and services of the MPO receiving federal funding will be verified for compliance with federal eligibility requirements as outlined above prior to payment approval. The next section is a UPWP amendment guidance, and this is standard guidance that the MPO has provided and adhered to historically through the years. And then we will go to the next page, which is a copy of the approved self-certification statement. You'll notice that this is a statement from last year, and we will have a completely updated statement that will be signed and approved, and we'll be replacing this old one with the new statement when we obtain that. The next section addresses Bismarck-Mandan MPO activities and how they support Title VI. So we've got a couple of pages there, and that basically wraps up the narrative body of this draft document. I'll kind of stop there and see if there are any questions or any comments that any of our members would like to present at this time. Okay. Hearing and seeing none, we'll keep moving through the document, and now we'll get started with our task categories, and the first of those is Task 101, Administration. Obviously, the MPO manages and coordinates its activities and programs and contracts for the Unified Planning Work Program and all of our member jurisdictions. We have the present status that is presented as a table listing the MPO staff members. We are fully staffed now, which is a very nice thing to see and was fun to be able to put into this particular table. And that is followed by a listing of our proposed work. Now, we do have required activities that are outlined by our MPO bylaws, and those are listed. And there are studies that we conduct, and the following pages detail the activities and the activities and programs that will be administered in coordinating our required work programs, such as the MTP, the Transportation Improvement Program, the Unified Planning Work Program, and then also various studies. Beyond that, we start getting into some of the programs and activities that MPO staff engages in with transit coordination, production of office documents, and then the staff actions that may or may not occur to produce those items. It culminates with the final products of Task 101, and then a schedule and completion date, which includes a table or a chart for our required work products for the next 2 years, the TIP, the UPWP, and then also the MTP that will eventually be adopted in 2029. Are there any questions on Task 101? And by the way, as far as the budgeting amounts, we'll get into that portion in the budgeting worksheets at the end of the document. Will?
Kim, on pages 20, I guess 28, there's a list of activities that you have listed for staff to do. Are those specific to this UPWP, or are they just general things that the staff do at any given year on any given time?
Thanks, Will. Yes, these are general activities, as I said, which may or may not occur necessarily in coordination with the activities and programs that are involved with the MPO and this particular work program. Anything else? Okay, well, we'll move on to Task 102. This is probably the one of the highest interest to everybody. This is our professional services and vendors consultants task. We know this one kind of informally as our studies task. The purpose is to provide for studies, data purchases, or professional services that address specific transportation concerns and impact the MPO's Metropolitan Transportation Plan, Transportation Improvement Program, or MPO planning processes. We do have the present status, which basically shows where we're at in our studies, what we have ongoing right now, and what we expect to conclude by the end of the year. Then we move into our proposed work for years 2026 and 2027. The proposed work is being shown in the following tables. These tables are designed so that you can quickly see at a glance what's occurring in each of the years. It will provide the project name, a brief description of what that project entails, the total cost of the project, whatever amount was budgeted in the year that you are referring to, the targeted contract date or start date of the contract, and then also the anticipated date of completion. So for 2026, we have the ATAC Annual Master Agreement Fee. This is a 3-year agreement that will expire in December of 2027. The annual cost for this is $10,000, so $10,000 has been budgeted in 26 for that. The next item is a study-associated modeling. This is for any ad hoc modeling that is required for any of our studies that goes above and beyond the master agreement. There is a typo in this. The total project cost is shown as $20,000. That should be $27,295 because that is the amount that is budgeted for 2026 as well. Of course, these modeling activities are addressed through addendums to the master agreement, and so the targeted start dates vary by need, as do the dates of completion. The next anticipated study that we have on page 33 of the packet is the 2025 Fringe Area Road Master Plan update. This would be a comprehensive update of the Fringe Area Road Master Plan. We're anticipating a budget of $180,000 for that overall, $132,705 with that would fall into 2026 with a September-October start date and a completion date of 12/31/26. The Transit Development Plan will be updated as well. This will be a comprehensive review of transit services, and that also has a $180,000 total budget with $99,338 falling into year 2026. We anticipate kicking that off in January of 26 and concluding it in May of 27. We're looking at performing a Mandan signalized intersection analysis pilot project where ATAC will use existing detection technologies on up to 5 signalized intersections in the city of Mandan to collect 15-minute turning movement counts and average stop bar speeds on a 24/7, 365 basis. The total cost for this project is $45,000, with $32,000 of that being expended hopefully in 2026. We'll kick that off right away at the beginning of the year, and that will conclude in June of 27. We're also looking at a passenger rail station siting study to evaluate the feasibility of potential passenger rail terminal facility locations in the MPO region. That does have an overall budget of $225,000, with half of it, or $112,500, falling in 2026. We do anticipate having that begin in June of 26 and concluding in July of 27. The MPO is going to be conducting a parking constrained areas study on behalf of the cities of Bismarck and Mandan to evaluate specific areas in the community that have limited parking availability, and then examine projected demand and alternatives to address those parking demands, which may be inclusive of micromobility options, on-street parking demand management, scheduling pedestrian and bicycle improvements. There's a $180,000 budget anticipated for this as well, with all $180,000 occurring in 2026, beginning early 26 and concluding by the end of the year. That does conclude the table for the 2026 work products. As far as studies, data acquisition, are there any questions or comments on what's been presented with those? Okay, we'll move into 2027. Again, we have our standard annual master agreement fee subscription at $10,000 in 27 total cost. 27 budgeted is also $10,000. We would also anticipate having study associated modeling expenditures set aside in the amount of $20,000 for 27. And then the conclusion of the Transit Development Plan would take place in 2027. Again, that total budget is $180,000, but only $81,000 of it would be expended in 27, with that concluding on or about May 31st. The Mandan signalized intersection analysis would conclude also in 2027 on or about June 30th, and the portion that would be expended in that year is $13,000 of the total $45,000 budget. The passenger rail station siting study, as I had previously mentioned, falls squarely 50% in 26, 50% in 27. So $112,500 is budgeted in 27, with an expected completion date of July 31st. We will be pursuing a socioeconomic data purchase in the year of 2027. This would include SE data such as household and employment information. And then once purchased, the data is refined by MPO staff for use in the update of the travel demand model. We're anticipating a cost of $5,000 total for this, and that will all be expended in 27. We're hoping that this will be complete by October 27. The travel demand model update will begin in year 2027. ATAC will update and refine the Bismarck-Mandan MPO TDM for use in the travel demand model socioeconomic update, which is the precursor to the update on our MTP. Again, this will be handled through addendums to the ATAC master agreement, and that will outline all of the scope and the fees that are included and necessary with this. This may be a moving target, and so we wanted to make sure that we had sufficient budget for this, and we did put the total project cost at $60,000 to all be performed in 2027. Also anticipated for year 2027 is the Morton County Future Land Use Plan and Map. This would look at key land use components, including development, density, topography, and location influence, because those items can very strongly impact essential transportation planning factors such as street access, design, traffic patterns, and traffic volumes. These factors determine future traffic modes, and they'll be evaluated to produce a future land use map that will guide decision-making at the county and regional levels regarding future growth and development, and then to refine existing zoning districts, and using that map that will better lend itself to orderly growth, development, and future transportation planning, especially for use in the update of the Metropolitan Travel Demand Model and the Metropolitan Transportation Plan. The total budget for this particular project is $150,000. We anticipate $76,700 of that occurring in 2027. That would begin in June of 27 and conclude in June of 2028. And finally, we have the travel demand model and socioeconomic update and 2030-2055 Metropolitan Transportation Plan combined study. This would be similar to the combined study that we have just recently completed for our MTP. It's a standard update of the travel demand model and socioeconomic, and then that leads into the 2030-2055 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. We're looking at a budget of $550,000 for this combined study total, and $45,000 of that would be expended in 2027, as we would just be getting that kicked off. For the TDMSE, we would be looking at adoption or approval in April of 2028, and then we would move right into the MTP update with adoption taking place by December of 2029. Following these tables, we do have a list of final products. Obviously, Task 102 is exclusive to contractual obligations. The final projects are listed as the 2025 Fringe Area Road Master Plan, the Parking Constrained Areas Study, Mandan Signalized Intersection Analysis Study, Transit Development Plan, Passenger Rail Station Siting Study, the Morton County Future Land Use Plan Map in 2028, the TDMSE in 2028, and then the final report presentation and adoption of the MTP in 2029. The schedule and completion date is further outlined at the very end of the paragraph, or at the end of the page, excuse me. Are there any questions on the proposed 2027 projects or data purchases? Yes,
Yeah.
Will.
On that Morton County, is that technically an update, or is it going to be a new plan? They currently have a land use plan.
They
correct?
do. In fact, the MPO performed that in 2015. So it would, I'm not really sure, it will be a whole new plan. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you. We'll move into task 103, which is capital, operational, and travel expenses. Obviously, we need to provide for the operational expenses and capital investments that are necessary to carry out the transportation planning process. These expenses will ensure that the MPO staff have a secure work site, adequate resources to perform the work, and opportunity to increase or maintain proficiency within their positions. We talk about the space that the MPO occupies. We talk about training opportunities. We talk about, different items that are necessary to carry out day-to-day operations within the MPO through this section. Also, we do indicate that the City of Bismarck, as our hosting agency, does not have an indirect cost allocation plan, so they do not charge the MPO for indirect costs. That it might be an item of note. The proposed work is that Task 103 is divided into 4 categories, which align with the City of Bismarck's accounting system. We divide those into rental space, lodging and associated travel expenses, office operations, office supplies, and subscriptions. So again, quite broad categories, but they work very well for us in this regard. These are broke down further on the UPWP budget tables that we will be getting to in just a moment. The final 3 paragraphs indicate the final products, schedule and completion date, and then a note that all capital purchases will be conducted in accordance with the procurement policies set forth by the City of Bismarck and North Dakota DOT. Any questions on Task 103? Okay. Task 104. Again, Task 104 is for complete streets tracking only, and what that means is that with any pre-identified staff time conducted for, for instance, the Bismarck-Mandan MPO Bike and Subcommittee facilitation, or any study components that are directly relatable to the safe and accessible transportation options set aside, we need a means to track those items, to basically pull that allocated amount out of our staff time general category or out of the studies general category, so that we can ensure that we are tracking this money accurately. And the reason for that is that the safe and accessible transportation option set aside is regulated by the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, or the BIL, also known as IJA, or the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. This was a 2021 enactment that includes a set-aside for increasing safe and accessible transportation options. This set-aside requires states and metropolitan planning organizations to dedicate a minimum of 2.5% of their metropolitan planning, or PL funds, to activities that improve transportation options for peoples of all ages and abilities. These activities are often referred to as complete streets planning. They focus on creating safer and more accessible transportation for various modes of travel. The purpose of this requirement, for the purposes of this requirement, the term complete street standards or policies means standards or policies that ensure the safe and adequate accommodation of all users of the transportation system, including pedestrians, bicyclists, public transportation users, children, older individuals, individuals with disability, motorists, and freight vehicles. There is some more information that is provided in this section, which has been extended from previous versions of the UPWP, to talk about the BIL and the safe and accessible transportation options set aside. Now, we know that the BIL is effective through September 30th, 2026, at which time it is set to expire. And of course, we are looking at a 2-year budget for years 2026 and 2027. So where does that leave us for 2027? We are going to assume business as usual for year 2027, using the assumption that if there is new highway legislation, the complete streets or safe and accessible transportation option set aside will be carried through in some form or fashion. Or perhaps in 2027, we may be working under a continuing resolution, which is not uncommon. And so that would mean that the 2.5% set aside would remain intact. So we want to make sure that we are preparing for that in the event that is the case. And so below, we do have our Complete Streets funding breakdown for 2026 and 2027. Obviously, 2027 is quite subject to change. The next page does detail proposed work that may occur and may apply to the 2.5% set aside. In 2026, the total would be $19,658.78. In 2027, we estimate the total to be $19,962.50. And then we do detail how that breaks down amongst our studies, which studies it may apply to, how much staff time dedicated to our bike ped subcommittee may fall into this category, and what the final products would be for those items. Any question on task 104, which is a tracking task category only? Not seeing or hearing any. So that wraps up our narrative in the body of the UPWP for our task categories. And now we'll just move into the next two pages, which are the budget worksheets for our UPWP. These include everything included in our budget for each of the tasks, along with not only the total amount budgeted and the federal portion, but also the jurisdictional breakdown and participation amounts for each of those items contained within the budget. Now, both of these budget worksheets were previously presented to the TAC last month at the meeting. All of the studies in here were based on results and input that were received from an April 14th meeting with our TAC basically our jurisdictional representatives or our TAC members that helped to formulate the basis for our budget, especially for our Task 102. The only change that I'm going to point out to you in these budgets would be for the Fringe Area Road Master Plan update. I don't know, it's a little bit small, but if you go under Task 102, it is the third line down. Previously, what was presented was a total budget of $140,000 for 2026. That has been refined to $132,705. However, the local match overall within this budget does remain the same because that additional monies of $72.95 was actually put into our ATAC modeling, a study-associated modeling task, because we do feel that we will have some additional modeling requirements that are associated with this Fringe Area Road Master Plan. All of the other budgetary numbers remain as what was presented. All of the totals for the jurisdictions, participation, the total budget overall remain as what was presented last month. Are there any questions or comments on what you're seeing here with these two budget worksheets? Okay. Again, if TAC recommends approval of this draft, that only means that it goes to our oversight agencies for a 30-day review period, which also provides an additional 30 days for any review by TAC members and any further comments as well. So this will not be the last time you're seeing this document. The final page in the document is just an overview map of the Bismarck-Mandan MPO area. It is the planning area boundary shown in bold, heavy black. It shows our jurisdictional boundaries of for Bismarck-Mandan and the city of Lincoln. Maybe we should have chosen something besides white for Mandan, but it is what it is. And if there's any questions or comments on the map, I'd be happy to take those at this time. Okay, hearing and seeing none, that concludes my presentation of the draft UPWP. Any questions or comments overall? If not, I'm sorry, Ben?
That's okay. Yeah, I had a question. So, Kim, this is kind of back to the future. This is the way we used to have the UPWP in 2-year increments, and we made a recent shift to 1-year increments. We're moving back to 2-year, which I agree with and I think is a good idea. Maybe just an overall question with the two-year UPWP. Is it a rolling 2-year UPWP? In other words, we'll be adopting this every year with the out year to be the new year of adoption, or is it static for 2 years?
Yes, thank you very much for asking that question, Ben, and I'm sorry I didn't point that out earlier. This is a rolling adoption and a rolling document. So what we're seeing here is going to come back to us as far as like 2027 estimates. Will come back to us next year. We'll be looking at that whole work program and budgeting process again, but with the addition of 28. So the second year is almost acting as an illustrative year within our UPWP, but we want to make sure that we have our products and our programs pretty accurately identified for that outlying year so that we're able to maybe, carry studies over or funding amounts over if they're not used, and make that particular process more fluid. So yes, this will be coming back every year. Thanks, Ben. Anything else?
I would just say on top of that, it does provide an additional buffer in case for whatever reason you just can't get it updated in the second year. You do still have a UPWP in place that you just simply amend in the future. But ideally, yeah, I think Kim's right. The idea of having a first year is your program, second year is illustrative, and updating that every year so it's going to roll along will help with the contract requirements to have your projects kind of in your budget spent in 1 year, so that way you can have a project carry over into the next year and not have to have it in December 31st of every single year. So this works a lot better, I think.
Thank you for your comments, Will. Anything else? Okay, if there are no other comments, staff would be looking for a motion to recommend approval by the policy board of the draft UPWP.
This is Ben. I would move approval of the 26-27 UPWP as presented.
Thanks, Ben. I have a motion to recommend approval. Is there a second?
This is Jarek. I'll second.
Jarek, thank you for seconding. Roll call, please, Tracy.
Ben Areth,
Yes.
Dan Triak,
Yes.
Deidre Hughes,
Yes.
Loretta Marshak,
Yes.
Jarek Wigness,
Yes.
John Saki,
Yes.
Logan Bisey,
Yes.
Will Hutchings,
Yes.
and Chair Ripple.
Yes. The motion is approved. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item number 3, which is the 2025 Unified Planning Work Program Amendment, and that is Exhibit B on page 43 of your packet. I believe Stephen was sharing that screen for us as well. Okay, thank you so much. This particular item is amendment number 1 to the 2025 Unified Planning Work Program for the Bismarck-Mandan MPO. This is an amendment to Task 102, which is our studies. It is for the Fringe Area Road Master Plan study. The Fringe Area Road Master Plan is programmed for 2025 already. It's in there with a study budget of $88,500, and it was originally scoped to be a very light review of the fringe area roadway alignments identified in the 2014 Fringe Area Road Master Plan, with the evaluation of pre-identified hotspots or areas of current or anticipated growth and development. That does not change with this amendment. However, the MPO jurisdictional partners expressed a desire to conduct a comprehensive update to the Fringe Area Road Master Plan roadway alignments and to the plan overall, and then also to examine a beltway concept that was included in the 2014 Fringe Area Road Master Plan for potential modification or elimination in future planning documents. So the proposed changes identify changes to the study scope, along with a higher cost estimate for the hotspot evaluation that came in a little higher than what we were originally estimating. And then also there is an increase to the budget of $92,500 for the additional scope items, which comes to a total amount of $181,000. Additionally, the estimated time to complete the study will increase from approximately 8 months to approximately 12 months, and this will involve extensive public engagement opportunities throughout. There will be no cost increase or budgetary impacts realized in 2025. Any kind of impact to the budget would all be addressed in 2026, and that is listed in the 2026-2027 UPWP draft document. The maximum amount of $47,295 that is available in the 2025 UPWP for the Fringe Area Road Master Plan remains fixed, so there is no budgetary increase in 2025. The amendment is to include a total study cost to increase to $181,000, along with increase to scope and completion time for the study. Are there any questions on this amendment or comments? Okay, if not, staff would be looking for a recommendation of approval of Amendment 1 to the 2025 Unified Planning Work Program. Would there be such a motion?
This is Chris. I'll move.
Oh, motion by Chris Holzer, thank you. Is there a second?
This is Jarek. I'll second.
Jarek Wignes, second. Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ben Areth,
Yes.
Dan Triak,
Yes.
Deidre Hughes,
Yes.
Chris Holzer,
Yes.
Loretta Marshak,
Yes.
Jarek Wignes,
Yes.
John Sackey,
Yes.
Logan Bizey,
Yes.
Will Hutchings,
Yes.
and Chair Ripple.
Yes. The recommendation for approval for Amendment 1 to the 2025 UPWP passes. Moving on to item number 4 on the agenda, it is the Fringe Area Road Master Plan request for proposals, and Stephen Larson will be presenting that information to us.
Have to present from there. The mouse is not working on the screen. All right, my apologies for the technical difficulties there. I will just present from my seat here. In your packet is a request for proposals for an update to our Fringe Area Road Master Plan, or FARMP, which you've already heard a lot about through Kim's presentations. So the last update took place in 2014. The FARMP assists the MPO's jurisdictions in planning the arterial and collector road network necessary to support known and anticipated residential and commercial development on the fringes of their communities. So this update will incorporate all approved amendments made to the plan since its adoption, evaluate several hotspots within the Fringe Area Road Network identified by the MPO's jurisdictions, examine the functionality of the north-south roads currently labeled as a potential beltway in the existing FARMP, and provide a comprehensive look at the MPO's overall fringe area road network. There are challenges in both the natural and the built environment in planning future roadways. Addressing these challenges is one of the primary goals for this update. And the final updated FARMP will continue as a living document to assist the jurisdictions in planning for future development and roadway expansions by showing potential new road connections within the existing network. So within the RFP itself, and some of you have already had a chance to get eyes on it, but we kind of have an estimated schedule for proposals, interviews, and the update itself, as well as, of course, extensive space to talk about the objective and scope of work for the update. I will also mention that we have the public involvement plan for the update will involve at least 2 meetings with the public on both sides of the river, and that the update has a not to exceed budget of $181,000, which, as you already know, some of this is already in our 2025 Unified Planning Work Program, approximately $47,000, and the remainder of that budget would be expended in 2026. The project, as previously mentioned, was originally envisioned as a light update to the FARMP with a budget of $88,500, but discussions with our jurisdictions about their concerns led to a decision to pursue this more significant update. So currently I have an estimated proposal deadline of August 22nd. This can be adjusted if approvals of the UPWP amendment allow. The MPO hopes to start work on the project around October of this year, with the update scheduled to conclude the end of 2026. So at this time, I would take any questions the board may have for me on this RFP.
Yes, well.
Yes, Stephen, could you detail a little bit more about what is meant by the interviews to be either in person or remotely? And the reason for my questioning is, from my experience in the consulting world, they like to typically know what kind of costs are going to be associated with the interview and the procurement for responding to any RFPs they find. And so, whether they travel or not is going to definitely have an impact on their overall break-even point for these kind of studies. So can you just detail that a little bit more?
Yeah, so that's kind of been the standard from previous RFPs, is that we allow for both. So we'll typically hold a meeting location that is friendly to either virtual or in person. So if it is cost effective for the consultant to attend in person, then great. But otherwise, we certainly accept the virtual interview format.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Any other questions for Stephen on the RFP? Okay. One note regarding this RFP, we do have the approval for the budget to be extended into 2026, provided that Policy Board does approve that tomorrow at their meeting with tax recommendation. Then we will be set to basically issue the RFP for this. However, final approval of that amendment comes through our federal oversight, so we won't be able to enter into any contract negotiations, is my understanding, until such federal oversight approval is received on that UPWP amendment. Correct, Will?
That's correct. Generally, I did speak with senior staff at DOT, and he said that in the past they have kind of brought it forward. So I have forwarded on your amendment for review at this time. So.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Any other questions or comments on the RFP? Right. If not, staff would be looking for an approval of the RFP, or a recommendation of approval, excuse me, of the RFP. Is there any motion to recommend approval of the Fringe Area Road Master Plan RFP?
This is Jarek. I'll recommend approval of the FARMP RFP.
Thank you, Jarek. We have a motion by Jarek Wigness. Is there a second?
This is Chris. I'll second.
Thank you, Chris. First and a second. Any further discussion? If not, Please call the roll, Tracy.
Ben Arith,
Yes.
Dan Triak, Dan Triak. Okay. Deidre Hughes. Are we not on? Okay, we'll continue. Chris Holzer,
Yes.
Loretta Marshak,
Yes.
Jarek Wigness,
Yes.
John Sackey. Line 2. Logan Bizey,
Yes.
Will Hutchings.
Yes.
Okay, and okay.
Now to see if your microphones, you guys are sharing one over there? Yeah, apparently, Federal Highway isn't hearing, anything you guys just presented, so. It's okay, just that Deidre and her were unable to hear, all the details, parts of it came through.
It was the main microphone at the front. When Stephen was going through the RFP, we couldn't hear anything. It was really garbled.
Yeah, he actually didn't present from the podium though, so.
Are you able to hear me on this one?
Yeah, I can't hear Tracy either when she was calling roll call.
Okay.
It's on the mic, yeah.
So can you hear Tracy now?
Can you hear me now? Okay, how about now?
Can you hear it now?
Oh no.
That's how it should be set up. I don't.
Have Paulette go up to the podium and try it.
Okay. Should we? Okay. Dan Triak, can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Microphones are going, but they're not coming. You got
Dan, Deidre,
and John.
John Sackey. Nope.
Okay. Can I have one of you just continually test the mic? One of you on Zoom?
Sure. We can. I
Okay,
can
we
still
can hear you. Can you still hear us?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. Dan Shriak.
Yes. Here.
Okay. Deidre Hughes.
Yes.
And John Sackey.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience and for your votes. Okay, those came through loud and clear. So the RFP for the Farm P has been recommended for approval to the Policy Board. Item number 5 on the agenda is the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan, or PTASP, and its targets. Paulette Jacobson will be presenting that for us today.
Thank you, Chair Ripple. And we'll share screen. Stephen will help with that. And page, I believe it's 63, Exhibit D in the packet, is a resolution of support for Bismarck Transit's Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan, or PTASP, and its associated safety targets. The Federal Transit Administration, or FTA, requires public transportation operators to develop a PTASP and accompanying safety targets to ensure its operators and the public remain safe during transit operations. The Transit Board adopts or updates these targets and the PTASPs on an annual basis. The targets may be set by a state Department of Transportation and adopted by local transit providers, or the transit provider may set their own safety targets separately. And for 2025-2026, Bismarck Transit has set its own safety targets and adopted them in May. FDA asks that MPO support Bismarck Transit safety, safety targets and PTASPs, which is why MPO staff is requesting the board adopt the resolution of support. Any questions?
Any questions for Paulette on the PTASP resolution of support? If not, we would be looking for a motion to recommend approval of the resolution.
This is Jarek. So moved.
Jarek Wignes, move to approve. Is there a second?
This is Deidre, I'll second.
Deidre Hughes, second. Is there any further discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Ben Areth.
Yes.
Dan Shriak.
Yes.
Deidre Hughes.
Yes.
Chris Holzer.
Yes.
Loretta Marshak.
Yes.
Jarek Wignes.
Yes.
John Sackey.
Yes.
Logan Bizey.
Yes.
Will Hutchings.
Yes.
And Chair Ripple.
Yes, motion is approved. Moving on to item number 6 in the packet. It is the Bismarck-Mandan MPO self-certification. Stephen will be presenting that item for us.
Thank you. This is Exhibit E in your packet. The Bismarck-Mandan MPO self-certification is something required by United States Code. We must certify our planning documents and processes are being carried out in accordance with federal law. So TAC and Policy Board approved our most recent self-certification in May of this year. However, the MPO has since received guidance from the Federal Highway Administration and NDDOT requiring the complete removal of references to equal employment statutes in the document rescinded by a recent executive order. So we have updated the self-certification according to this guidance, and that is included in the packet. There were no other changes made from the approved May copy. Are there any questions on this from the board?
Any questions for Stephen on the self-cert? Ben?
I had a question. Yeah, Stephen, you referenced sort of a comment or more of a question that I was going to get to. Several of us received letters from U.S. DOT Secretary stating the removal of certain phrases and words from documents MPOs produce. I think I know the answer to this, but I just want to ask to confirm. I think when we've asked in the past if the disadvantaged business enterprise element should be included, I think the answer was we're not sure, but we haven't heard whether to take it out or not yet. I just want to confirm that we feel comfortable with that disadvantaged enterprise element being incorporated into the self-certification.
To the best of my knowledge, yes, but I double check with Will, I guess.
I would concur with that at this time. If there's an update, we don't really anticipate that it's going to be a heavy hand coming down on any MPOs or any agency receiving federal funds. It'll be more kind of a notice. You need to correct this at a future time. So even if it gets in there and it's over, and then like a month later that changes, you won't have to go back and adopt your document right or amend your document right away to correct and align with that. Just on the next update or amendment cycle. Yep.
Good question. Any other questions for Stephen?
Then staff would be looking for a motion to approve, recommend approval of the updated self-certification, and this would be included in our updated tip.
Is there any such motion?
This is Ben. I would move to approve as presented.
This is Deidre, second.
Well, I guess. Well, okay. I guess we've got Deidre as a second. Any further discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Ben Arith,
Yes.
Dan Triak,
Yes.
Deidre Hughes,
Yes.
Chris Holzer,
Yes.
Loretta Marshak,
Yes.
Jarek Wigness,
Yes.
John Saki,
Yes.
Logan Bizey,
Yes.
Will Hutchings,
Yes.
and Chair Ripple.
Yes, the motion is approved. Thank you. Item number 7 on the agenda is the 2025 Safety Policy Study. Luke Champa with SRF, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Great, thank you for hanging in there with us.
Yes, no problem. Can everyone hear me all right?
You're a little low in volume.
Yeah. Just adjust my microphone. Better?
Are you still with us, Luke? It looked like we were having some problems with the internet potentially there.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
Okay, now we can't hear you.
can heard online, just not in.
Sounds like it.
Yeah,
Well,
we're not getting you here, Luke. It was suggested maybe if you turn your camera off, it might improve.
Still sounds really good online.
Okay. Something in the room then.
Yeah, we're really not getting anything in the room. I don't know if it's our audio here.
Testing.
Well, we heard that. If you could give us a sentence or the alphabet, we'll see if we can.
Yeah, A, B, C, E, F, G, H, I, J, K.
It sounds better.
Okay. All right. All right, I'll start quick. And thank you, Chair Ripple and tech members. Just a quick update on the safety policy study. Busy putting together. We've been doing engagement summaries of the safety analysis. Presented our June 20th committee meeting. It was a meeting back some of the more interesting and working on reaching our
Hey, Luke.
school. Yep.
I'm not too sure about this. I wonder, because I understand what you're saying, because I can fill in the blanks, but I'm not sure about everybody else. So I wonder if it would help to jump off and then try to reestablish a a new connection.
Yeah. Let me.
You know what we can do? We could move forward with the Title VI update and let you go ahead and do that, and then we can come back to item number 7. Would that be agreeable to you?
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks, Luke. All right, Stephen, sorry to put you on the spot, but if you're ready with the Title VI update, we'll jump to item number 8.
Okay, thank you, Chair Ripple. So I will be sharing screen from the laptop over there for the Title VI update. So Exhibit F in your packet contains the updated Title VI plan. The MPO, as a recipient of federal funding, is required to have a Title VI and non-discrimination ADA plan. The Title VI program is in place to ensure the MPO takes all necessary steps to prevent unlawful discrimination in its programs, services, and activities. We do a self-audit of the Title VI plan each year and make appropriate updates based on this. This year, only minor routine changes were made to the document, including updates to dates, complaint forms, the goals and accomplishments, and the demographics of the MPO's boards and staff members. The MPO also updated the demographics supporting the limited English proficiency plan, and I want to specifically call it the Title VI maps that are included at the end of the document, showing the locations of our 25 TIP projects against relevant populations in the MPO area, and the demographic profile and analysis section of the plan. Because the changes made to the plan were minor in nature, no action is required from the board on this, apart from signature by the policy board chair on the policy statement and assurances tomorrow. Does anybody have any questions on this?
Any questions for Stephen on the Title VI, Ben?
Yeah, Stephen, I'm old school. I printed my agenda out. I like to write on things and hold things, I guess. But the maps you're referencing, they don't necessarily have titles associated with them. There's just different colors and concentrations of things. Would you mind just kind of discussing what some of the maps meant?
Oh, yes. Give me just 1 second. Yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that, Ben. So there should be a screen share on Zoom right now for the maps. But I do note that there was a typo that I did not catch. That you're correct, the maps are not titled correctly, so I will have to make an update. But essentially, what it's showing is first a map of our current 25 TIP projects, and then it's overlaid against population. Okay. There it is. So sorry. I can pull these up real quick for you guys. And yeah, there we go. Okay. So yeah, this map here is the 25 TIP projects currently programmed. And then we have an overlaid. It is population and poverty overlay based on census data. Minority populations based on census data. We have the elderly population, and then population in poverty. And so these are standard maps that are just updated annually based on, obviously, the projects in our TIP and then census data we pull from in order to create these maps. And so that is one of the largest. I neglected to mention we also have a map addressing limited English proficiency populations as well. So I will make sure to update the titles in the document before we put it online. But yes, that's what each of those maps are addressing.
Thank you, Stephen. It was operator error on my part. I did not print to the appropriate scale I should have, so everybody online can probably see them just fine. Thank you.
Thanks. And any other questions for Stephen on the Title VI update? Well, I guess not. Thank you very much, Stephen. We are going to go backwards in time on our agenda. We'll move back to item number 7. Luke, are you with us?
Here, and
Perfect.
okay.
Are you?
Kristen, can you hear Luke?
Can you hear us online, Kim?
Okay, I can hear Kristen, and I heard you coming through that time, but before you weren't coming through, but maybe every other syllable.
Is it better now?
It is much better now.
Okay. You stop if it gets unclear again. Okay. Thank you, Chair Ripple of TAC. Just want to in the policy study in June we curriculum in public engagement summary and state analysis, including a crash.
Okay.
Material.
Luke?
Yep.
So what about the, how do we handle that? We want an update to our members. Many of our members were at the steering committee meeting in June. However, I mean, I don't know if it's coming through to the public then, through DMA. This is awkward, Luke, because the folks online apparently can hear you just fine, but we can't hear you in the room hardly at all. So I guess you would give a much better update. I'm sure you would provide a better update to our folks who are listening either online or at home. I could give something very briefly and then let you go ahead and fill in if that seems like it would be acceptable.
Okay. Probably the best.
All right. Would you be willing to then give an update to the folks online once I've given something that's just super briefly here?
Sure.
Okay. Sounds good. So we are in Exhibit F in the packet, page 73. That is a progress report provided by SRF for the 2025 Safety Policy Study. It was a really busy month. The safety analysis, well, first of all, the high injury network methodology was formulated and established and presented to our steering committee members. The high injury network helped to address areas of primary concern that were presenting safety issues across our region. Also, a very in-depth look was taken as part of the safety analysis draft. So that entailed crash trend summaries of, I think it was about 48 different categories or scenarios, I guess, within that report. So that was quite a substantial document for our steering committee to review. Also, we had some public engagement activities that were being culminated and compiled. So our subconsultant on the project established some key themes from the public engagement that occurred through April and May. Those key themes were provided through a report and again acted as materials provided to the steering committee. The steering committee met on June 26th. They went through the crash trend summary memo that was the result of the safety data analysis. They also went through the high injury network, its methodology, and what resulted from that, along with the key themes report. Basically, we were looking at whether steering committee members thought that there were any surprising statistics or any surprising data that was kind of rising to the top. Also wondering if there were some key issues that they wanted to take a little deeper dive into. There were several items that were noted throughout the meeting, as well as some items that were desired to be updated on the web app, which is the interactive map for the Bismarck-Mandan MPO area that has many different layers on it, whereby folks can click into that and see some of those crash trends and some of those statistics and individual data points. So I don't have the meeting summary with me in front of me to share some of those ideas where the steering committee wanted to dig in a little bit deeper, but maybe Luke has some of that and we can actually hear some of that. Right now we are at about 44% complete with this study. So this is really getting into kind of the heavy lift analysis part of it. And then I'll let Luke go ahead and provide his report, and maybe we can hear the general outline of that.
Kim. Yeah, I'm sharing on my screen use committee notes. I just wanted to share some of the actions. We will be reaching out to local school administration or administrators to coordinate on safety education collaboration. And then we will be revising the key themes report and also ensuring there's consistency between public use of light versus traffic light. There's a little confusion there in the comments. As far as safety analysis goes, we have updated the web app. Check that really quickly. Thank you, Holzer, and in a link to the annual traffic report and from ATIC. We wanted to compare the trends we were seeing with severe crashes and with normal crashes. So we were getting into that, and then we will dive deep most crashes, work zone, season normalization graphics in particular for bike. We taking our deeper dive, these summary conclude paragraph to that trend. We did make adjustments. I'm going to share that quickly. Foremost, we've reorganized the comments, so you'll be able to see you actually can click on these now. Other comment, for example, you can click for now you can, and see what other states may need in there. I think most importantly, for interest, we've added crash point data for HIN. So if I were to go crashes, I'll turn on all modes. You would see the crash points that are contributing to those is in the high injury network. And really, we want to give members a little more time with this to add and provide feedback. In particular, we will are looking for things like key sections where crash may be occurring. A good example is Main and Express, where someone added a comment as such here. So in to particular network locations and seeing what's going on there. And last, I will say, please take a look at things, your bicycle high injury network, bicycle crash, and you'll to see where these are occurring and potentially, why these things are on the high network. That's about the update. Our next major are key analysis memos for conversation on 20th, and then into tool safety countermeasures based on results, and starting to think about how we're going to build a decision making tool like NAPL to help select the countermeasures for both urban and rural jurisdictions. Our meeting is jurisdictions for decision making tool. And happy to answer any answers to any questions that I might.
Okay, thank you, Luke. Are there any questions for Luke? Either from folks in the room or online? Okay. Well, thank you very much, Luke, for hanging in there with our technical difficulties and accommodating this kind of revised format.
Thank you for being flexible.
We will move on to item number 9 on the agenda. It is the 2025 monitoring report update with Stephen Larson.
Thank you, Chair. This one's really quick. The MPO and HDR have finished reviewing the information collected at the Performance Measure Workshop held with jurisdictional staff in May. We have begun to outline the new monitoring report document, and the next several months will focus on collecting the data needed to support the document and on drafting the document itself. We are on track to complete by year end. Any questions?
Any questions for Stephen on the monitoring report? Unseen. Okay, thanks, Stephen. We're going to keep you up there for a while.
Yes, indeed.
2025 Highway Safety Improvement Program and Transportation Alternatives Funding Programs update.
Yes, so I will note that this also includes Urban Grants Program, which we just received word on from DOT. So yes, this is Exhibit I in your packets. This basically just provides a summary of the projects that our jurisdiction submitted last year. Let me see if I can make that come up here at the podium. Okay. Yes. Okay, so yes, beginning with the Highway Safety Improvement Program, the MPO solicited for fiscal year 2029 in the fall of last year, and we received one application from the city of Bismarck for a roundabout at Yagan Road and Lincoln Road. So we recently received a word from DOT that this project has been approved for funding. So the MPO wanted to inform the jurisdictions of that. and should be able to include this project in our upcoming tip. The Transportation Alternatives program for FY27. We solicited for that last year as well, received 5 applications. TAC and Policy Board sent these projects prioritized to DOT for consideration. Our top priority project was the Highway 1806 Pedestrian Trail Project in Mandan. Second was Sunrise Trail Connection in Bismarck. The third priority we had was 3rd Street Southeast Sidewalk Installation Project in Mandan. Fourth priority was the Memorial Highway Pedestrian Ramp Realignment Project in Mandan. And our last priority was the State Street Multi-Use Trail Rehab Project in Bismarck. So this was Policy Board's final prioritization based on tax recommendation last year. And we received word from DOT that our second and third priority projects, so that would be the Sunrise Trail Connection Project in Bismarck and the 3rd Street Southeast Sidewalk Installation Project in Mandan, have been approved for funding. So that would be FY27 funds for TA. And finally, under Urban Grants Program, we received word that for FY 2028, we received 2 applications last year for this Urban Grants year. And neither of our projects, unfortunately, the Main Avenue Reconstruction Project in Bismarck or the Downtown Phase 2 Reconstruction Project in Mandan, were selected for funding this time around. It appears that other communities were awarded funding in our stead. So, are there any questions from the boards?
Any questions regarding HSIP, TA, or urban grant programs for Stephen?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Next, we have number 11 is the 2025-2028 TIP administrative modifications.
Yes, so very simple. This month we processed 2 administrative modifications to our current 25 through 28 TIP. These modifications move 2 projects, one a Memorial Bridge project and one a Downtown Mandan reconstruction project from FY 2025 to FY 2026. The details of each project are listed in Exhibit J of your packets. Are there any questions?
Any questions on our administrative modifications to the 2025-2028 TIP? No? Thank you very much, Stephen. Appreciate it. We'll have a roadway projects update with our jurisdictions. John Psyche, are you still with us online?
Is out west.
I'm going to try that again. Well, hopefully everybody online heard John Psyche's update for Morton County.
I think I know it's a little indirect way. John spoke. He said he has no update for all the projects that are out west occurring right now.
Okay. Well, we have Dan Shriak online as well for Burleigh County. I wonder if... Dan dropped off. Okay. Well, let's move on to the City of Mandan, perhaps. Jarek?
The only active project really right now is our RFB project. The crossing on Main Street at 2nd Avenue Northwest was completed, and I believe that the other 3 locations are progressing pretty well right now.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks, Jarek. How about City of Bismarck? Chris Holzer?
Thank you, Chair. We have a South Washington Street project from last year. Way down south from the drainage ditch down to Burleigh Avenue. They're just doing some cleanup and some concrete corrections. We do have a East Century Avenue project up in northeast Bismarck, east of Bismarck, or east of Centennial Road. They're making good progress up there. We're hoping to have the Roosevelt Drive intersection open before school starts. Kind of downtown Bismarck, 3rd Street between Main Avenue and Bismarck Expressway, we have a CPR project going on down there. They're working on the outside lanes right now. They're almost finished with those, and then they'll move to work on the inside lanes and flip-flop traffic. Yeah, those are big projects right now.
Those are big projects. There's stuff going on all over. So thank you. Appreciate that very much. How about from North Dakota DOT District?
Yeah, the Memorial Highway project, they're going to continue paving that temporary road this week, but they do hope to divert some traffic onto a portion of that temporary road later this week. By the end of the week, they're hoping. Another thing we got tomorrow, there'll be a interstate chip seal starting on the interstate, and then Expressway 810 and 194. They are currently out there right now setting up traffic control to begin on the eastbound passing lanes, kind of from North Dakota 25 all the way to the Hay Creek Bridge right before exit 161. And then they plan on doing the ramps Saturday, Sunday, to hopefully not have too much impact to traffic, or less impact to traffic if they do it over the weekend. It's about a 2-week project, and then they plan to work over this weekend.
Sounds good. Thank you, Logan. It's fun to see those that interchange kind of start coming together. It didn't look like much, a year ago, right? But it's starting to look like something that we're going to be able to drive on. I think that concludes our roadway projects, unless there is anything from the city of Lincoln that you would like to add, Loretta?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll move on to other business. Does anybody have any other business they'd like to share?
I'll just note that we are working on finalizing the draft STIP at this time. I believe presentations to North Dakota management on the entire draft are occurring probably as we speak or here shortly in the next few days. And then we anticipate that the full draft should be out no later than the end of the month. So.
All right, we're looking forward to that. Thanks, Will. Any other business from any members? No. Okay, well, I do have one item that may be of interest. It is going to impact the TAC and Policy Board, definitely. In the 2025 state legislature, Senate Bill 2180 was passed, and it requires cities, counties, townships, school districts, park districts, and water resource districts to include a public comment opportunity during their regular meetings. The bill also requires a political subdivision to develop a public comment policy. So this came before the Bismarck City Commission at their meeting on Tuesday evening of this previous week. And they do have a policy basically that will be placed governing this public comment period. Basically, the requirements by North Dakota Century Code changes mean that we will have to begin every meeting by opening a public comment opportunity for any persons either in person or online who would like to comment on any of our agenda items, either from the current meeting or from the one previous meeting. So they can go back one meeting and provide public comment, or they can comment on items on the current meeting. There's all kinds of things out there as far as time limits. The suggestion is to limit the time limit for public comment opportunity to 30 minutes, whether that is one individual or several. Each one, it suggests they could have 5 minutes but not donate their time to anybody else. And then no matter how many people provide comment, it caps at 30 minutes. So if somebody has signed up to provide public comment, whether that 30 minutes time period accommodates them or not, it doesn't matter. It's a hard cutoff. I don't necessarily anticipate having an issue with the time limit at TAC and Policy Board, but it is something that I wanted to bring forward because this does need to be implemented by August 1st throughout all of our political subdivisions in the state. So with our meetings in August, we will begin both the TAC and the Policy Board meeting with a public comment opportunity. This does present the opportunity to amend our bylaws. Our bylaws are not super prescriptive when it comes to our meeting, regulating our meetings. However, this may be something that TAC or Policy Board may want to consider amending into the bylaws, and I just wanted to put that out there as an offer. It doesn't mean that we need to do it necessarily, and we can always pursue that at a later date as well. Are there any other comments or questions regarding this action? Will?
Yeah, Kim, Chair Ripple, thanks for bringing this up. I was actually going to bring this up with all the MPO directors at one of our regular check-in meetings, so you're on top of it. I appreciate that. Were you detailing for the rules and conditions of which you must honor a public comment? Was that specific to the city of Bismarck's policy, or is that in accordance with what was passed? Because for some reason I was thinking that it just had to be a public comment period, and it could be at the beginning or it could be at the end. So can you just elaborate a little bit further? I'm sorry if people couldn't hear me online.
Yeah, so there are certain things, anybody who wishes to provide public comment at a meeting does have to sign in. That is one of the requirements. Yeah, whether it's at the beginning or end, I don't know if that is regulated by Century Code. Ben might have more information on this. A lot of what I've presented is based off a policy that was formulated and presented to the Bismarck City Commission. Again, I don't anticipate that the TAC and Policy Board are going to have a great deal of trouble with trying to enforce a time limit on public comment and that things of that nature, but I do believe that it's probably beneficial to offer that public comment period at the very onset of the meeting. But Ben, do you have more information for us?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. You did a great job explaining that. The template that Bismarck adopted was developed from a template that basically the North Dakota League of Cities developed for all jurisdictions to use or not. Much of it was based off of what was in the state statute, but there were some generalities in the state statute. For instance, it says a governing body can adopt a time period for each speaker and total time. Bismarck's version of it identifies what that specific time frame is. That could be changed. That time frame isn't set. It's just allowable by state statute. Kind of the things that are hard and fast. I do believe it has to be one of the beginning items at the agenda. Members of the public would be allowed to speak at on items of the existing agenda and the immediately previous agenda that is in state statute that are not public hearings. So the opening public discussion opportunity would not be subject to any items that are public hearings. So
that's great. And that was actually where I was going with that, because at times I know that you might have a public comment period that's just open to the public to provide, like, I want to come and talk about the potholes on Century Avenue or whatever the case may be. And so it's good to know that that's a North Dakota Century Code specific provision that would limit that. And then just a reminder that anyone can get in touch with the MPO staff if they have something they want to share for a comment outside of a public meeting.
Certainly, and Ben also brought up a good point that the public comment opportunity is provided as an additional comment opportunity, so it's for items that are outside of a public hearing. We will still maintain our advertising and promotion of public hearing items, and we will offer a separate public comment period for each of those advertised public hearing items, just to be clear. Anything
Kristen
else?
had just asked if we were planning to update the public participation plan or not.
Yes, this would impact our public participation plan as well.
Yeah, so we may have to look at applicable amendments to that.
Yes,
no.
Thank you. Good point. Anything else? All right. If there is no other business, we'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant week.